What is a trauma bond? Hi everyone, I'm Apollonia Ponti. I am your dating, relationship, and life coach. I am your coach for you men to master your life, your confidence, your attraction skills, and understand what women want and understand more about relationships, dating, and love so you can ultimately get the love life, relationship life, and dating life that you desire. A lot of times people have asked me what is trauma bond, and that's why I wanted to do this video, because a lot of times we get into relationships and we don't understand where this other person is coming from. A lot of times I see trauma bonds happening and men trying to understand it, not only because maybe they're in one, but because the woman that they want continues to go back to this man, possibly, that doesn't treat her right. And you're this amazing guy, let's just say, and you're wondering, why doesn't she choose me? And I want to kind of explain a lot about trauma bonds in this video because it really has nothing to do with you. So make sure you stay to the very end as well, because I do have something special for you at the end of this video. Now let's get into what a trauma bond is first, and then I'm going to give you some tips in regards to trauma bonding and what to do if you have experienced this as well, or a woman that has. You can share this with anybody, woman or man, in this video. Now, trauma bond occurs because of an ongoing cycle of abuse, typically, right? Bonding happens because of an ongoing cycle. And in this particular bonding, I should say, is because something traumatic has been encountered subconsciously or consciously with another person. And typically this can happen from past childhood experiences from this other person, them not feeling inadequate, them feeling like they're going to be abandoned, or they're not lovable, or the lack of self-love that they have for themselves. In which, when this happens though, it's done with reinforcement from reward or punishment, right? So the reward is high and the punishment is so low. So what happens to this person in their mindset is, when the punishment of the trauma bond, it could be abuse, let's say. When the abuse happens, then the reward can be high. You know, I love you so much, or I couldn't live without you. So also in the punishment, there is a responsibility that that person plays in the middle, that that other person that has that trauma bond, or the abuse, not the abuser, but the one that's being abused, can sometimes feel like they have a responsibility to play because of how the levels of reward and punishment are. So this creates powerful emotional bonds that are resistant sometimes to change. And the reason being is because when we really understand how the mind works and how relationships work, it kind of brings in a very unhealthy mechanism of a relationship, because the highs are so highs and the lows are so lows that you start to form an emotional bond, because it's like it can be looked at as a secret, your little secret, or the sex is just so amazing that gets confused. And of course it is, because it's unhealthy, because it's toxic, because the endorphins are rushing. So you go from a high to a low in your mind, and what happens is, when you're at your low, ultimately you want to chase back and get that high, because the high is so good. It's literally like a drug. Also too, how this happens is because of, like I was saying is in the beginning of this video, is because of traumatic experiences, right? Traumatic experiences, I believe, is really important, and a bond with the other person can happen through a cycle of violence or verbal violence, if that's the case, right? This bond can be stronger to you or to the other person for people who have grown in an abusive household. So for example, I have some clients that have never came from abusive households, but they still find themselves in this. And the reason why I started this video is because a lack of self-love will get you into relationships like this. I know for myself, from experience, my reason for getting into toxic relationships was because I didn't have a lot of self-love for myself. I was fearful of abandonment. I was codependent. I was depending on my happiness to be met externally instead of internally. And that's why I do the work that I do today, because I've come from these environments and I was able to teach myself everything and learn from it. And only if I had me before explaining these things in videos, I'd probably do half the stuff that I did, but also my pain is now my purpose. So that's why you can never take away someone's pain, right? Is because sometimes when we go through these traumatic experiences, men typically want to fix because they think that their art and their love and their caring and their support is in their doing. men think that a lot is in their doing, and a lot of times it's in what you don't do that speaks louder, especially in these experiences, because when you are trying to convince someone to be with you that's in this predicament or in this experience, you're not going to ever win in this scenario. They have to choose something differently, right? Typically, the abuse is masked with someone saying that they care about you. So there is a guilt. Remember that responsibility I talked about? There is a guilt that is played, and is also a toxic mentality to make the other person feel selfish if they don't desire the abuser or if they leave the abuser. So they feel like they have this responsibility, but it's masked with really guilt and sabotage and manipulation. And so if this is something that has happened to you or you've done this before, you've got to really get clear on why you do this, right? Typically, the abuser abuses because they feel inadequate themselves, or on top of that, and it's not an excuse, I'm not saying and giving an excuse for anything, is because the lessons that they've learned in their past childhood are just coming into fruition in their life today, and they didn't take the necessary precautions to change their subconscious beliefs and their patterns that probably played in relationships in the family, in childhood, from their father, from their mother, or maybe from another relationship they've experienced. They feel as though sometimes the abuser also too, the person that's in this trauma bond, will feel as though they aren't good enough because of the fact that the bond that they have with the abuser is they show love, right? So they'll show this like amazing, affectionate love, and they'll even do things for them that they're like, wow, no other man or woman has done this to me before. But then on the other hand, they will make them feel so guilty. So there's also this superiority that happens in these trauma bonds, and it also can confuse the other. And typically this happens with someone who is seeking to be loved and has a pattern of traumatic abuse for themselves, right? And so that's why I say you can't take someone's pain away from them, because their pain can also become their story. Their pain can become their purpose. Pain is really ultimately the foundation of growth, and life is literally about learning. So when we try to take someone out of this, of course, we're going to be really cautious about their well-being and concerned about their well-being. That would be natural for anybody, I would assume. But this case is we can't take this away from them because they have to figure it out themselves. No one else can convince them. Something we may even deny that the abuser that the person that's getting abused might deny is that the abuse makes them feel wanted, right? And it goes into this spiral until basically you hit rock bottom. Typically when you hit rock bottom is the moment that that person will be able to see differently. And everybody's rock bottom can be completely different. So a message to the people that are trying to understand why this woman or why this man continues to go back to this really unhealthy, unnecessary toxic relationship is because of these things that I'm mentioning in this video. The worst thing possible that you can do, and here's my advice on what to do moving forward, is the worst thing possible you can do is convince this person that you are the one for them. No matter how amazing you are as a man, this woman will not be able to see this right now because of what she's experiencing. It's like a black cloud is over her head and she can't see the sun yet, right? The only way that we are able to transition is because of the fact that we've decided, our oneness, our self have decided to leave this person. Because what happens if you try to push this woman to leave this person, or if you try to push and push and push by like getting and interfering in the way and getting involved in this relationship, then consciously and subconsciously your integrity and your worth isn't going to be there. What I would encourage you to do is stand on the sidelines. You know, you can come in every once in a while and tell her she deserves better. Maybe even she's seen that she deserves better. But the point is you can't convince someone to see something differently when they're not willing to see it at all. So taking space from this person and understanding, why am I being dependent on this other person and trying to commit myself to someone that's probably not healthy either? Because if someone is experiencing a trauma bond relationship, they've encountered narcissistic abuse, probably manipulation, and what they've known subconsciously can be encountered into your relationship next. So they also need to heal it. So here's the thing, is it doesn't happen right away. Even if she was to end this relationship, this trauma bonding relationship, it does not mean we get into a relationship right away with her. It means we give her the space to find out what she's all about. What is life like for her? What is her sense of independence now? How is she going to grow from this? How is she going to forgive, let go, and heal from this? Because you are not her healer, guys. This is what is so vital. Is typically when you find a woman in a relationship like this, it doesn't just work in a snap of the fingers. This takes time. So my process to you is to let go and just let this be. Focus on why you are attracted to someone that is not showing up in the best capability that you deserve. Typically, this happens because of codependency. And that's why I made this product called my Break Free of Codependency product. So if this storyline or if this is something that you have encountered in your life or you're going through, I encourage you to break free of your codependency and download my product, and I'll have it below on the description box. In this product, it's a big personal development product. I spent over 1 year making this product. You'll have a lot of access to me with my VIP membership group where we do VIP monthly coaching calls, and I want to see you in there. As always, I'll see you again in the next video. Please share your comments and your support down below and support one another. Give this video a like if it helped you today. And remember, you are always loved, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.